Very good morning to everyone. So today I'm going to explain to you guys what is an overview of the benefit of the ESG awards and GHG carbon emissions standard protocol. Alright, this one versus to our ESG awards more people. Alright, that's the reason why people when talk about the carbon emissions think that they feel a bit complex, more complicated, and they need more specialists to work on this GHG project. You see, so basically, I'll explain what is the benefit and what is the ESG awards and those carbon emission standard protocol, which is they're required to apply in order for you to achieve the requirement of the ESG. So let me explain myself a little bit. Right. So basically, I'm an MBA holder of the South University of Australia and a degree in Business Finance at Harvard University. And at the same time, I have a diploma in MIN and then I'm the USM PhD candidate in the energy and ESG management system for the sustainable SME practices. So what I'm doing right now is very much relevant to this ESG award and this GHG. Right, greenhouse gas projects. So I have work experience of 35 years, right, through the MNC because I'm one involved in this front-end semiconductor. Because front-end semiconductor is involving like those high technology things like in the US and China they have some confronting about the those electronic devices, the CMOS thing. Like example, like you're using the EV, you need those devices, to add on into your car. So those things we call CMOS that which is we are doing. So I myself involved in this so-called my company in TTT because we are focused very much on these high-tech components. So we are fabricating those high-tech chips. Then of course I'm judging this international business partner with the company with those projects. And then of course I develop a strong diversity and cross-cultural competency. So I work in China for 3 years. Those are automotive, leading high-tech, also very much in the car business. Then this is the entire session plan. So today we're going to talk about the entire thing project. So these are my overview of the benefit of the ESG award, GHG carbon emission standards. I take duration 4 hours, 12-point training center. And then the learning outcome, there'll be end of the session, you'll be able to identify what is the ESG. Right? At the same time, there's an outline of the 3 types of awards that we're going to work on it. And then of course I'm going to describe the benefit of ESG awards and then try to understand the concept of the principle of the GHG carbon emission standard protocol. And of course inside the module you'll be understand about what is the 7 types of gases and then identify source of carbon emissions. So basically what's carbon emissions? You need to find out. And then how are they going to calculate on the GHG accounting? Alright, so basically GHG is greenhouse gas, right? Greenhouse gas, yeah. Right, so I can review guys, intro a little bit about the ESG award protocol and then review a bit, explain about the learning outcome and then of course the content mapping of the trainings. Right, so total we will have 4 modules. Alright, total we have 4 modules. So basically we will go through about the what is the ESG. We take 30 minutes, 45 minutes for the explain a bit this ESG awards and the benefit of the ESG awards. And then we'll talk about the greenhouse gas GHG, about the standard protocol. Right, and the 7 types of GHG gases. So I'm going to explain to you guys, and at the same time, how I'm going to determine what is the amount of the carbon dioxide. Alright, that's an interesting topic because of how I'm going to understand about the carbon dioxide, after carbon and then carbon dioxide. So this topic is very much on science. So I try to simplify to make you guys easy to understand, because those companies cannot run away, because they need to relate this under E environment, they need to relate this E, and then because of the entire framework of GAG, is very much relative to this under EHG, under the platform. So this GAG is a platform of the environment, right? Then we will follow on the GAG corporate accounting and reporting standard. So this one is very much on the measurement. How are they going to measure about this GAG? So inside the module 4, total they have how many types of the project, accounting protocol, life cycle, corporate value chain, GAG protocol for CTTs. So these things will take a little bit time to explain to you guys, the entire module, because this entire module is related to those company, come from a different industry. Meaning that some of the company that involved in the constructions, some of the company in the factory, semiconductor, so semiconductor we have a front end and back end as well. Okay. So I think after you guys clear about the session plan, we may take up the 4 module to try to understand the entire session about what's the EHG, and then eventually go for the GAG corporate accounting and reporting. Okay, so we need to do a little bit icebreaker. Alright, so ultimately having explained myself, perhaps you guys can tell me a little bit your name, your background, about your a little bit of your education. Right, we can start from here.
Hi everyone, my name is Jerry. Okay, actually I'm dealing with this M&E engineering company. So currently we're having a few projects in Penang. So my background, I'm the advanced diploma holder in the mechatronics. Okay, thank you.
Hi, good morning everyone. This is CK. Currently I'm the tax manager in the Flatpoint Group. I graduated from DUN in Major in Accounting, IS Computer System. So basically I have about 15 working experience in this line. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Nina, and founder of the Wellpoint Group. And Wellpoint, almost I think 20 years, more than 20 years in accounting.
I'm Jocelyn, and I'm a business development senior supervisor, and I'm more on in charge marketing and customer service on PowerPoint. Thank you.
Good morning all. I'm Chiu. I'm from Wellpoint still. I'm the audit manager, and I'm working here for almost 8 years. Near to very early. And I'm graduated from the TAUC. Okay, I see. Currently is the FCCA and I'm okay. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Brenda. I think I met Jerry before during the mediation session.
Alright.
Okay, so I'm the CFO of Wellpoint. I graduated from Peking University of Australia. So I'm also one of the chartered accountants from LIA.
Alright, thank you very much. So follow. These are content mapping. Alright, the content mapping will come with these 4 modules. Again, I'm going to explain about this EHG first, and then come to the type 2. The type module 2, there's a type awards of your benefit of EHG awards. There's a pioneer reporting recognition and the benefit of EHG awards. Okay, and then module 3 is a greenhouse gas, come in the standard protocol, and then inside the greenhouse gas for the standard protocol, you'll be able to understand about the 7 types of gases, and those are scope and emissions. And now, of course, these are how to determine the amount of the carbon dioxide. And then come to module 4, it will be type of the GAG corporate accounting and reporting standards. then inside the content, you'll come in the project accounting, life cycle accounting, corporate value chain, GAG protocol for city. I'm going to explain to you guys later. You know. So we cut it short because the reason why this topic is very hot when you talk about what's the ESG, right? So ultimately, you guys roughly aware about what's the ESG, but main thing you need to remember why is the ESG when they talk about these impact are so crucial, because when they're talking about impact is the size of people will be influenced, or maybe will impact how many people aware, how many people will be benefited, So this thing, when they talk about ESG, it's very much talking about impacting how much you can contribute, to those people, to the people that they get to know about you. And why this ESG is important. How are we going to publicity, how are we going to make it the company more, more famous. At the same time, they know that you work on the CSR, and then of course you have a strong corporate governance. Right? I believe WellPoint, you do have your own company policies. Right? So we need to ask, are we be able to support this corporate governance to the entire employees to understand about the entire company policies, are able to follow reasonable enough? So those things like when talking about the corporate governance, it's very much related to the stakeholder and the employee. Alright, and of course with the customer, and with the supply chains, your management, meaning that they will live with your suppliers, your supplier customer, your suppliers, suppliers. So the entire link we're going to put together. So this means what? Meaning that the company will produce the production, that the material that you buy, from your suppliers are legitimate, parts and the material as well. So like example, they say investing customer, and then of course your suppliers, your employees, your general public, and then of course you need to forward thinking your solutions to sustain all your risk management. So this topic, even though we look at it, E is very simple, environment, and then S is social, and G is governance. The entire ecosystem of this ESG, when we talk about it, is kind of very simple, but yet the topic is contains a lot of elements and all the factors that we need to understand. So when people talk about ESG, you say, oh, E is tanam pokok. But because what we learned at the beginning, that because we're talking about E, because of the tanam pokok only contribute a little bit of this so-called try to carbon reductions. So when I'm involved in this our DYT plant, tree planting, total we planted around we targeted around 1.5 million, but unfortunately we meet our target around 1.4. But I think total the plant died probably 300,000 died. And then of course we calculated the carbon emissions reduction is not much, because only contribute 1 meter, and then per year you only contribute 0.4 only. So they are talking about this carbon emission is by ton. This one is only by kilo, very very small. So it just sake of how do I say publicity, at least they say we have saved the world, that which is at least we plant a lot of trees to help for their carbon reductions. So in our carbon emission reduction, we have net zero, and then we have surplus. So at least we need to maintain a minimum as a net zero. So that's the reason why we're talking about environment. They are pushing for the greenery. Ultimately people get to aware about we're talking about environment is green, right? Social is good, that at least you do a lot of CSR, at least to help your company publicity. To understand about company, at least you contribute, at least you have some networking, to your external party, like a customer, like your suppliers, so at least you guys expand the company profile, via the social media. Alright, then come to governance, I mentioned. If you have a good corporate governance, means that you have a good company policy, at the same time you have a good company image. So the good corporate governance, nowadays, they are very concerned about it. I think last time there's one of the NCC, so-called Norman Sack, or I forgot the exact name already, because their corporate governance, there are some, legal issue. Due to your corporate governance, the company never follow. That's the reason why they get caught more on the accounting issue. So, like example, like your company, you need to focus on corporate governance norms, to make sure every single process and the point that you be marking, including your internal and external customer, need to fully understand, and then whether it's applicable, and at the same time that you can use it, to outsider as well. Because outsider, they might be attack you because of your corporate governance that you stated already, and then your company doesn't follow. Doesn't follow, this might be a big cost also. So this is the ESG entire system, the ecosystem that help you to remind you, at least you jot it down, into your company so-called profile. Alright, so next, this is SDG 17 SDG. So we segregate into 3 pillars. So basically, this SDG scope-wise is much more bigger than ESG. Because when we talk about ESG, we very much focus on the organizations, or the company itself, or maybe NGO, or maybe the school. So SDG, the impact is huge. This is a national project. Then we're going to segregate into this green, under green color is environment, under social, and then governance. So you can see numbers 1 to 17. Alright? 1 to 17. So perhaps you guys can recognize the picture, there are some peace, justice, and these are what a strong So these 17 sustainable development goals is related to our ESG. So when we segregate into 3 pillars, at least you understand the entire SDG 17. At least you go through, every single SDG which is you like to contribute. At least you've done before. Like I think Brenda, you collected those information that which is the company you've done before. Then eventually they will convert into the reporting. This is some story that which is at least we started from SDG 17. So you look at the environment or natural environment, carbon emissions, energy consumption, waste management, and resource conservation. So just now when we discussed about the under E, environments. So you look at E, environment, talking about the natural environment, that's one of the topic. Carbon emission, also one of the topic. Energy consumptions, also one of the topic. But when talking about these entire environments, later I'm going to show you about the GHG alone. I think it may be, about this topic you might talk about probably a few days in order for you to complete entire GHG. So it's not that easy, that's why you thought when you're talking about the environment. And the thing is, among the 3 pillars, in terms of UN, United Nations, these are IPCC, all those NGO and the government, they're very much concerned is a climate impact. Again, will fall into the environment. because of they're talking about natural environment and carbon emissions. Alright, so when you talk about environment, talk about ESG, you don't mention about because of environment is very much related to the grid. That's very much related on the output of the carbon emissions you talk about. So whether your company can help and contribute to this topic or not. So of course, you're talking about waste management. Why waste management? Because of some of the factory, they allow waste. So it might be come from the supplier because of their production. Why you to produce your product, and then in order for you to produce all of this. So eventually they're going to trace the waste, where are you going to throw? Are you going to recycle? So that's why they say waste management. How is your management? How good are you going to manage your waste? You see? So why resource conservation? For example, in Penang, what we short of. Manpower also one of the resource conservations. Actually, manpower to support the energy. So in this environment topic is stress on the natural resources, the energy, and then the carbon emissions. For example, power, we short of power, like the power electric, and then of course we short of water as well. So in terms of you're talking about those advanced state, they require you, to build a data center. So a data center, they require those energy, so energy we consume a lot. We consume a lot of energy, but whether are we sufficient to support those energy to those data center? Because data center is the one to support those factory like AI, like banking, factory database, all these things, they're going to store into the data center. So like our Penang, state Penang governments, and of course we're going to relate to this media as well. They have some requirement for data center. Because data center, they need to meet the requirement in order for them to set up in Penang. But unfortunately, our Penang state, we lost a lot of these FDI from data center because we cannot apply. So that's why a lot of FDI for data center when they're going to job off. In Penang, we short two things is very crucial. That's power and of course with the water resources as well. In our industry like semiconductor, we're also facing this problem because we need a lot of consume a lot of water and consume a lot of power as well. So without this two things support, the company basically cannot set up over in one of the regions. Like SK mentioned about this FDI, because we have studied, for a number of companies that whether they are qualified to come into the Penang or not. Some of them they go to Kedah. I mean, Kedah is more even worse than Penang. In terms of maybe the cleaner of the water, the power supply, So that's the reason why they focus on KHDP. And then do you know that this KHDP, they have a supplier for power supply to those industry. So in KHDP, you need to pay extra money for your power supply in order for you to support your entire factory. Because those high-tech companies, they require you to back up power supply, meaning that the entire factory is so huge. The power maybe from DNB, incoming first support from them. And then what happened to the backup? They need a backup power supply to prevent those machines stop. Because usually we run our machine is 24 hours, 7 days. So without this support, we cannot run. But unfortunately, this topic, because of our factory is overwhelming, so we have used too much power consume too much power and water. So that's the reason why they try to, not to say stop, at least you try to minimize it. Try to minimize it, and then can you turn into reduction or net zero? So the reduction and net zero meaning that our Ministry of Energy, they're going to give you a figure That's the figure that at least you need to meet up, and then you calculate the entire company. The company means that where the resource conservations and then where's the data are going to collect. So later on, we're going to show you guys what is the carbon emissions data collection is. So about the social. So I think that you guys are aware about this. Social is not that difficult as what you know. But of course, at least social is good for networking. At least you need those resources to support your company. So if your company never engaged to anyone, just stand alone, you never engage with anyone, but eventually your company is just, the scale of company, nobody aware about it, what you're doing, at least your contribution people will be aware about it. So this may be related to your we so-called order 5 forces. Like example, your customer, your supplier, your customer as well, and then your stakeholder, your internal employee as well. So all this is the 5 forces that you need to relate on it for this CSR, and of course into your social media. Right? And then governance. So when talking about governance, they stress on what? Transparency. So every single thing is counted. That's why I say accountability. Meaning that you involve into your finance, account, about your company policy, your HR, So all these things, what they want is a transparency. That's the reason why those like USA, Malaysia, So our ESG award is geared toward USA Malaysia under 11's point that they stress on it. Alright, so there's one of the important chapter, this may be related to work on. Governance is very, very important to you because you guys are unlike those factory, very much stress on the environment, So work point is very much stress on governance. And then we noticed a lot of these SMP, they got no idea about governance. They also don't know where are they going to start from. And then at the same time, they don't know how to. I shared a little bit example. Even though the organization structure, they also don't know how to set up. So especially these are bad company, we need to explain to them why we need this and why we need that. So you guys, like what I mentioned about, you guys are front end. So we're dealing with this SMP. In the first place, they were asking about why we need this governance. You see, this governance is very important. And because this governance is to protect your company interests, especially from stakeholder, you see. So a lot of people don't know. One day you might be involved some court case, so you can bring out those corporate governance that we already stated. So like example, those we have employee issue. So you might be involved in a labor court. So labor court, they ask you to go for mediation first. Alright, that's a process. So nowadays, our court, we have a magistrate, we have a normal court, and then high court, and then we have court appeal, all those courts. Before you go to the court, they want you to go for mediation first. Why? Because they feel that you need to talk to those people who are knowledgeable, talk to those people who are relevant, at least. Because whereas a lot of people, they find out you go for magistrate, a lot of misunderstand. They confront it because they know that. So once they involve in mediation, at least they understand the entire system already, then they decided to go for court, yes or no. If yes, then you go. If no, then dismiss. So-called settlement. So again, USA also involved the same thing. Because your government already stated what actually the company recognizes and what the company actually not recognize. You see, if you have some mediation policy, at least recognize the mediation before you go to the court or before you go to any legal actions. At least you go for mediation. There's one barrier that is stopped you. At least some people they have impulsive decisions. Once they make the wrong decisions, meaning that you may be sacrifice your company resources. Like one of the Flextronic, if I'm not mistaken, they have an employee issue as well. So the employee decided to go for the labor court. That one is too late already, meaning that you need to sacrifice that. So the stakeholder, the management can tell me, before that we should have a mediation process first. So this is what actually they learn from ESG because of the setup of the governance of so because of we got so many departments of head of departments, like for example you have tax, you have audit, you have marketing also. So I believe you have some confrontation also from the external party also. So how are you going to solve it? So if the company is too many confrontation, it might affect your company quality. And especially you are the stakeholder, you don't know what happened. I know that you have confront this and confront that, but you got no record. Because sometimes our confrontation issue is almost the same for everybody, but we just matter of it doesn't record it down. Once you record it down, at least you can see the statistic. You can find where's the gap to reduce the confrontation and to reduce your bad quality image to maybe your customer or maybe your supplier or maybe whoever. So at least you know how are we going to monitor when people come to dispute. So corporate governance is very important. So like what I said, transparency. You also involve mediations. You need to be transparent. You need to open up. At least we talk. If you don't want to talk for the internal people, then we partnership. We can talk to outsider. That's the reason why we signed for this MOU with this USM and NERC. Because of if WellPoint doesn't have sufficient resources, we can seek from help also, seek from NERC because of we also collected, those people are come from different industry and then we just pull together. Like me and Jerry and SK, we all come from different industry. So it's good that, like example, come to a trade compliance, we just give one call to go SK. SK at least can explain about it. So Jerry more into construction, more about the licensing of the DOE, everything. At least there's some knowledge we can refer to use it. So ESG basically we can network all those industry people together, and then at the same time we have a corporate governance to strengthen your company image. So remember, ESG is not that difficult, but what is the ultimate objective of ESG? You guys need to understand the entire ecosystem. Okay, then we come to the type of ESG awards. Right? Why this award? How do I say? These awards are so important to those companies. Alright? Because the most important thing that they need to get recognitions. At least we've done something. Right? Because ESG entire system versus with the ISO, they are slightly different. ISO, like example, we need to maybe you focus on the 90,005, 14,000, and then another one for what is really. That's the three ISO, those people normally they have in the company. But you look at the entire ISO, they content of 60 or 70% of ESG ecosystem already. So those company, if they have a ISO, so that's an advantage for the company because of as they come to the ESG, for them it's nothing new for them. It's quite easy for them to start on the reporting, what is the SDG 17, so the practice is why we call ESG Pioneer 1. So basically, ESG Pioneer 1 is talking about the fundamental that just I mentioned to you guys. The fundamental of what is E, what is S, what is G. At least you work out exercise. So some of the people they're asking, hey, if I don't have ISO, how? Then you need to practice the SDG 17. The 17 sustainability development goals. Once you practice it, then at least all these things they want to do. Then what is the functions? So we segregate into three pillars, under E, under S, and under G. Then come to reporting. So you have done all these SDG 17 already. Right? You need to convert it into stories. Because why we need SDG 17? You start from 1 or 2 years ago. Because you need to collect data. Without those data, how are you going to create a story to your reporting? Then if your story is too good already in the SDG 70, then can you make it your reporting, are relevant into your company or not? So ESG reporting award is nothing wrong and right. It's a matter of how you're going to grade a company image and the company, those activities, the thing that we're talking about governance, the thing that we're talking about environment, everything you put into the reporting. But of course, the reporting, we have the international financial reporting also. We have an international GHG reporting also, and then we have the ESG reporting as well. So that's what we call ESG reporting awards. Like last year we have 8 participants. We are there to go for reporting. Indeed, at the beginning, there doesn't, how do I say? A lot of companies doesn't brave enough to go and take the reporting award because they feel that, it's too tough and too difficult. I said, no worry, because the entire design of the reporting training, you probably might take around 2 weeks. I said, can man, 2 weeks? I said, possible. The reason why you have done for the SDG 70 before already. So if you go for reporting, it's not that difficult for you. But some of the company, they got nothing. And then they say, I want to go for reporting and get this kind of what? I say, impossible. Because you cannot produce those evidence the company have been done before. So reporting, some of the company, they got a lot of story to write, up to 80 over pages. Because come by chapter. So you think about it, they take how long to work on it? Because those companies, they already started early. Maybe 2-3 years ago already. Indeed, for this ESG program, they already practice overseas around 12 to 13 years ago. We just started. We started last year. We considered in Malaysia one of the earliest group. That's why they call Penang Lead. Penang is the one who lead on building those ESG, award reporting, all this and that. So we have all those digital reporting on the web. Because we meet this Ministry of Army Telecommunication. Telecommunication. So they need for those digital reporting. You're all done already, all this. I said, done already, all this and that. So slowly the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Energy also involved in it. They say, you're all done this part already. So right now, you go for second step for the carbon emissions. So that's the reason why we involve this GHG. So you guys are the first batch that I try to explain to you guys what is GHG. Because so far I close it and I get this opportunity for my accreditation. That's why I explain to you guys. That's why I tell you come here. Then eventually there's a recognition award. Why? You go through the entire awards already. So you need a recognition, at least your status and your standard. The people ask, you can answer what is ESG. Why? Because you know what is GHG is one of the crucial part. And then another topic is the reporting of your financial reporting. This one is fully relevant to your. I cater to your one of the association, one of the name already, CMPI, the chapter. Correct, right? The day we met. So I talked to all they all. I said, at least your association can come up with an idea. I already give them a framework that which is how are they going to comply with this reporting? What is the content element they need to provide in order for you to publish this reporting? But again, this SME APEC company, they are a bit reluctant to publish their accounting, for the profit and loss of those things. But unfortunately, this is the process. Without those financial reporting, I don't think you can go for SAR. Under A's category, we need to provide this IFSR. Without this, you cannot. So if you achieve the first step, second step, then eventually the third step, you have all the evidence and then you can provide. Then the recognition award is the final step. So this award, they need to renew every single 3 years. Every 3 years, they need to renew again to improve your company company, asset, those governance, everything at the same time. And again, this award what I put the USM Apex accreditation. You guys have to remember now, every single documentation that which is we need to publish, we need to tell people, at least you need to have one university to back you. So our Malaysia ESG impact, they very much depend on the USM. Because USM is the one policy maker for ESG. Because USM got the sustainability impact ranking goal number 4 out of 1,500 universities. So our Malaysian government is so proud of it. They say, you guys is the one who work on this, the ESG thing. So we are here department into this sustainability department. So last year we got this SDG 16 in the Asia number 1. Is the mitigation, the one that we report. So we're helping them to create the impact and the image. We got the award ESG last year, number 1 of the SDG 16. Right? So what is the ESG Pioneer Awards? So this thing I try to simplify it. Meaning that readiness. Just like I mentioned to you, that's a fundamental. SDG 17, at least we go through. You show people that, at least I know what I'm doing and what I actually contribute to this ESG Pioneer Awards. So like this year, Wellcome they got the ESG Pioneer Award. At least you all have been laid on the fundamental, at least Lina aware about the CSR contributions, So this might be related, to this Pioneer Award, meaning that the company is ready, to practice enter into the ESG program activities. Because a lot of companies they cannot comply is because they are not ready at all, you see. So throughout the years, you have one entire years, you need to segregate activity that how much you contribute into this ESG thing. So what is the benefit? Like just I mentioned to you, what is the E, what is the S, what is G. So all these ESG pillar is help you to strengthen your company image. You cannot practice like, because I just wanted to follow only. That's wrong, because of your reporting going to show your company strength, you see, at least tell people that this is what I contribute and then benefit to what and what. And then eventually that's the impact. I share you a very good example like BBA. BBA, they got a very good reporting. And then I just read and noticed it. This entire reporting actually done by KPMG. KPMG charged them very expensive. The CEO told me, he said, I spent so much money on this reporting, everything. Then I said, well, you spend so much money for your reporting, but do you know what actually you're doing or not? Because from their reporting, I believe Brenda saw before, it's something do a lot of CSR, but you should sell your company muscle, to tell people that how good we are, you see. You are selling your water resources. Yes, you contribute CSR, meaning what? At least whatever you earn from profit and loss, you secure a certain fund that you're helping people. At least there's an impact. Know about who is BBA. Alright, that's good enough. But yet you need to tell people how good is your quality of water, you see. You have a metrology tool to test your water quality. So my question is very simple to them. I say, how are you going to test your water quality? Can you explain more on science? Cannot. Because KPMG got no idea about what is science. You need to tell people that, how you test and how you calibrate your tools when you're facing this water quality issue, you see. I share a very good example like Seoul Garden, the Korean F&B company. I tell him to talk until bacteria. Some people they say, hey, you're talking about this ESG, are we going to solve those recipe, those things that we have done, everything into report? I say no. At least you're selling something that which is how good you are, what's your strength. So Seoul Garden, they compile the entire report. I think probably quite a lot, at least 40 over pages. is talking about how are they going to preserve fresh foods. And then they segregate all the utensils. This is what, and all this and that, everything. Even though the people are wearing the clothes, why they wear this, why they wear that, why they practice using the utensil A and B and C and D. And then how are they going to measure the temperature? How good is the food freshness? So this is the thing they're going to share with you. So again, as I said, the fundamental, if it doesn't lay out properly, eventually there's a cost that you don't know how to create the story to sell your company image. So readiness is very important for your fundamental to build on this award, you see. And then come to reporting award. So reporting award means what? It's very simple. I highlighted future proof. So when people talk about, hey, what is the ESG? What is your carbon emissions numbers like? Stakeholder means that your customer, your boss, the payee. He will ask, your reporting, can you show me? Can you tell me about your, GAG, your climate contribution, your financial reports? There's one of the chapter inside as well. So at least you can answer your reporting, and then we publish into our website, the official website. So just click and go in, and then they can see the digital reporting. All the evidence is there. So it means that at least you prove that you've done it, but maybe not perfect enough. You see. So we going to improve step by step. And then recognitions. Recognition means what? Avoiding fine. So we're talking about avoiding fine. Fine means what? Compound, You might be involved some legal issue, all this and that. But you have to prove that those parties they already recognize your work has been done, the effort that you've been done. What is the protocol you need to follow? So you need to collect all these so-called better data collections. So those data you can support, those data you can tell, those data you can tell what's your gap analysis if you want to improve your company quality. So recognition is the final step, but that's a lot of job, right? So when people say, hey, I get this award, what's the benefit? Hang on the wall, like ISO. So like Nagoya, Mr. Darren told me, I got ISO award, everything, all of this will be done already. Then they say, can you tell me PR? Then it doesn't sound like it's helped a lot, to our company, I said, yeah, because ISO is very much stressed on the documentation. So you also cannot prove that how good you are in the reporting. There's only ESG reporting. So those are ESG reporting is proven that you've been done, those things have been, collected, those data, that which is your company have been contributed into this E and S and G. So that's why it's called ESG award can be a very powerful tool. You don't need to explain, you don't need to tell a lot. You just send them to your report. Last time maybe, when people ask, can we company profile, right? But company profile is very little, you cannot see much, you see. So that's why right now people want more. They want to understand your company, what is the content, how good you are, how far you can go. So what is the quality like? Some of the construction company, talking about our company, if you're going to bid the company project, you need to pay for 10 times of bank guarantee. Or one machine costs around $5 million USD. We need to give them a pitch, $50 million USD, to show to the company that we're going to sell to them. My machine is worth for $5 million. Okay, so this one you consider first year supplier already. Then you're going to ask, you got reporting. So at that time they ask asked me, I said, Jiala, already, what reporting you want? So they said, ESG reporting lah. So I said, ESG reporting, what's the content? I give you a company profile, whatever the information I give to you. They said, no. You need to give me an ESG reporting in order for you to go and bid the project. So I said, I got 50 million BG already. That reporting I cannot compete, man. I said, sorry. Because of this is 500 strong company that they required to achieve their KPI in order for their company to collect supplier ESG reporting. So they will consider you into the tier 1. So at that time I'm very painful. Then because of I started to learn about what's ESG already. Because I thought I got BG 50 million to beat my project. Definitely I'm stronger than anyone. Whereas those semicon company, they are very particular with this ESG reporting. They say without this reporting, you cannot go for tier 1. So you need to wait. Means what? Compete and they cannot compete, nobody bid already, then come to you. I said, definitely we cannot accept like this, because we know that we got a lot of suppliers from overseas, because our company is boundaryless, from everywhere. So I got no choice lah. I say, in this case, I had to prepare to go on it. But within first year, second year, we cannot achieve. So we are here for the small time. So eventually, when I got this thing, then I can still see to bid for a project for a particular timing. But it's very bad lah. My stakeholders can take my help already. They say, how do you know? I said, never practice, no specialist. Who going to work on it? So even though the HR, even though they make the how, we also don't know start from where you see. So at that time we are very painful. When they ask for reporting on, say, so at least this is a powerful tool. You don't need to explain. You just send them a report that which is we are ready. This is the number what we have. Right? The numbers referring to the carbon emissions. That's why they said you are in a reduction or net zero. So right now the practice is net zero. At least you need to meet the minimum standard. So the thing in the class, Cambodia is the question. Why? Because the versus into their populations of employees, they go along. And then at the same time, the contribution of these the carbon emissions, the data being collected also is not favorable. So I say, then you are very dangerous because your stakeholder might not need your numbers, because your number cannot meet their minimum standard. For example, restaurant master, you know, can do some research with you, but you need to provide me the numbers. So the number is positive, too high already. Now, usually the practice in the industry, they're going to compare 2 or 3 companies, so that they can see how far your industry, you are in the between, or you're below, or you're too high. So at least you guys got an idea. We're talking about numbers. What's numbers? So the carbon emission number they're talking about, they mean a practice a net zero. So of course, you need a better reputations. You need to show your ethical governance. If your governance not strong enough, people look at you. Sorry lah. We look at your governance, we know your company standard, how far you can go with. So WellPoint need to practice a lot of governance to become a specialist. To tell your client that at least you need to practice that, practice this, are relevant into your company. And then again, ESG is man-made. Human activities involved. So you will, as I mentioned to you, you need to have a lot of dispute. So whereas when people come to this point of view, at least say, I have a mediation, I have all these specialists, I have the account mediation, I have the industrial mediation, I have architect mediation, I have this engineering mediation. At least we have partnership. We have people to assist you and help you in order for you to sustain. Because, like what people say, when you go and look for the Chinese, you do business with Chinese, Chinese for everything. Right? You go to the shop, they say, I got everything. Why? Because This one got or not? Even with the sell, say yes, I go to my store and take and collect and sell to you. You know, at least you have partner, you have networking. When people come to you, you know how to solve their problem. Rather than you say, oh, you stop already. WellPoint doesn't provide a pharmaceutical industry practice. Then you stop here. You got business come to you already, you know. Then you cannot tell that you don't know. I say yes, we have some specialists can advise you. So the practice is, the model is almost the same. Only the practice is different. So the sustainability is telling you that at least you got connection, partnership with those people involved in the pharmacy. They can help you and come and advise you. Then you can advise your client directly. You see? So sustainability is very important. So better reputation, you need to stress on your corporate governance. This is your strength. Alright. So again, competitive advantage for these ESG practices. You need a leader to initiate the thing. Now, like my company, I'm the one who initiated the ESG thing. So you doesn't initiate, you doesn't practice it, nobody bother. Just leave it. You got no idea what is ESG. We're talking about ESG, 1, 2, 3. So that's wrong. So you guys are the one who practice, and then you guys are the one who front end to explain to your customer and your client what is ESG. This UTM space. UTM space is under University of Utara, Malaysia. They got the government grant 16 million. Last 2 weeks, I met one of the MOU guys come to me and say, we wanted to work together with you guys. I said, why? I said, you guys already practice ESG and you guys already have all those MOUs. So we want to work together with you. So I big love. I said, why? Because government give a UITM 1 MOU worth of 60 million. You train for each student 5,000 ringgit. So how many students? 60 million divided by 5,000. That's a lot of students now. Because our government hope that once the training is gone through, the practice go to the market, at least they can help those people what is ESG. So this is the government initiative from federal. Penang, we are very difficult to get this kind of grant. Like those grant about the ESG practice in higher educations, our federal really given to the state Kedah and Perak 1 million each state. So we've been going to ask for the practice about this ESG grant 1 million for Penang. They say, oh no, Penang is one of the richest state that's like so you guys have to cari sendiri lah. You know, at least the practice that you go for secondary school total we initiate for the 127 school. So we go for the Sutraraju. So you want to get those Penang lead. So that's the cost of you cannot get the grant from federal because of 1 million ringgit. So everyone got in the grant for the ESG initiative for those secondary school. Penang. So we start immediately because of the grant. Alright, so the attracting investment. So once you go for the final step, you say you have done all this reporting, you have done this report, you have done all this and that, everything. So why investor? Because like our front-end investor in the semiconductor, the supply chain is very important. Why? Because the first question they ask, are they ESG compliant? Those our supply chain management. So if those supply chain management, sometimes they couldn't qualify to this ESG compliance. So the investor might be they conducted the town over in Penang that at least they want to see somebody that can comply with this ESG, and then in order for them to achieve KPI. Like this America, what's the name? Miyake, Miyake, the one who do the Disney thing. The same thing because Disney come and audit them.
Our sister company, right?
Oh, Jamaica. They're facing a big problem because their client be asking them whether you got this kind of thing or not. It doesn't have this the ESG relevant documents, those reporting, So it's a big impact for them, They cannot do their business, And then some of their customer kind of audit them. They say, "Oh, bluntly ready. They are not ready." So this is a typical classic example. Once you involve those stakeholders, when they're coming to invest with you, they need this document in order for them to come into the operation. Because they look in the first phase, look at their supply chain first. Whether those people are qualified to achieve their KPI. If those suppliers, like example, why people reluctant to go for Myanmar, Laos? Because they got no idea what is ESG. Even though Vietnam right now we start to practice a lot already, our neighbor country like Thailand also. So you guys need to explain a little bit to your customer or client to understand that once you got these awards, at least the recognitions come from the state government and the highest authorities. Because so far, ESG award doesn't assign any authority to recognize this award. Our system we assign to the state government because the state government take the initiative to push this ESG exercise and practice. So without these recognitions, it might feel like lack of something for investor. Okay. First question investor will ask, your award come from where? Your recognition come from where? Eventually they're going to assess your reporting. Actually, we noticed that a lot of these stakeholders, even though they assess your reporting, also nothing right and wrong. At least you already practice the format is there. Whatever the information they required also already into your reporting. So at least you can provide the numbers. Alright, so we completed the entire first and second module that which we understand about the ESG awards, and then come to benefits awards. And then this is a greenhouse gas standard protocol. So this is very much related to the E only, right? E only, yeah. So why they are so crucial? Because this GHG standard protocol related to the entire the whole world, with Europe and the West and of course Asia also recognize them. So they come up with this entire ecosystem. With this is the accounting tool for the management. Once you collect the data, right? Once you collect the data, and then how you going to compile the data. At the same time, how you going to quantify, and then how you going to manage the greenhouse. So when people talk about GHG, means that no good money. GHG, those gases are harming one. No good. Means that are bad. Future they're going to stop to use these gases, and then they hope even though those cannot stop, they want to reduce. So that's why they call reductions. So at least to manage the greenhouse gas emissions, and then how are they going to measure? Because this is a standard protocol. You have the tools already. You key in the numbers, and then they come up with the entire calculations, which is the data that we provided. They generated. The numbers is correct. Alright, formula is there already. Right, just the numbers, because every country, the climax and the carbon emissions be different. So at least you guys will talk about the greenhouse gas protocol. You understand why they call it greenhouse gas protocol. They make it think standard. So there's two body that which is what the World Resources Institute (WRI) and the World Business Council Sustainable Development Council, which is actually is content of 7 types of gases. Alright? A lot of people don't know because of when talk about GHG, they may be thought this is a good thing, but actually GHG is a bad thing. So they stress on 7 types of gases. Why? They trap the heat in our atmospheric and then go to the space. All these gases is trapped, they will pollute our environment. So this is a 7 type. CO2, SF6, CS4, N2O, HFC, PCF, and FF3. This one is more on science already, you all learn. You see nothing. So we come down, you see the picture, it's a factory, and then you see the picture, it's more on the utilities, and then you see the pictures. Why? After the support, you can see aeroplane, transportation, train, all these things, the picture there. They're telling you that under scope 1, the CO2, right now we practice, so this is so-called emission from source outside, and then come to the scope 2, means that indirect, means that you practice to use your energy and water resources, right? So it's under utilities, and then scope 3 is emissions of the chain supply chain or services. This is a practice you're using a third party thing to work together. So you involve 7 gases. So when they stress to you that GHG is what? GHG is the gases, the 7 type of gases. So they're going to launch another gases also. Now I believe future they become 8 gases already. So right now it's 7 type of gases. So this one is the most popular one. This one, I think every one of us are aware and know what is the carbon dioxide, CO2. Alright? Because some of the material is carbon only. After process, they become carbon dioxide. So at least you don't need to remember, at least you just think about it. Where's the source of the burning? You burn the fire, fossil, fuel like coal, oil, natural gas, you see. So all this is carbon dioxide already. So some of the carbon dioxide you can produce more or less. But what GHG practice is, they ask you to reduce. They ask you at least to achieve a minimum standard. Some of the factory they need to burn things. They need to boil. They have a boiler. So once you involve boiler, you need to burn natural gas or diesel or fuel. So again, they say defrostations, industrial process. You want to defrost, you want to make it melt, you want some heat. So all this will be involved carbon dioxide because you want to burn something. So this is the first source that you know. Right. Second source, impact is the most significant contributor to the global warming due to its high concentration and long atmospheric lifetime. So this is the impact. So at least you all know where actually the carbon dioxide, where actually you may get from. Ultimately, you aware about it. And then second gas is called MH4. It's a methane. You don't need to remember the gas thing, but at least you know where actually the gas come from. So they say this carbon dioxide actually they have a shorter lifetime. When the carbon dioxide they burn, they go up, and then they are how do I say they're being dismissed. Versus to this methane, they're trapping the carbon dioxide is longer than carbon dioxide. You understand? Methane is much more bad than carbon dioxide. So where actually the methane come from? CH4. So they say you never take care of your environment because of due to what? Raising livestock. You got pig, you got whatever the thing that you feed, you never clean it properly, and then the turn become a methane. landfill waste, landfill waste, and then water, you never take care of it. They can create a lot of bacteria also, become the gases also, and then plant also, and then you burn the forest. So all this is so-called amended CH4. So that's why they mention about small fractions lost in the stress dose field in the reaction with the CH4 and CH1 and CO. So all this is a sign that you don't need to remember. At least you're aware about. Come to the second gas, it's very much related to those pollutions. It may make also. So the third one is so-called nitrous oxide. So again, this nitrous oxide is worse than methane. So it very much involved in the agriculture activities. You can see use of the synthetic fertilizers, manure management, industrial process, combustion, and fossil fuel. So they say where the actually N20 come from, the nitrous oxide, very much only agriculture soil management. So I believe some of your clients also come from agriculture. So those companies involved in agriculture, how are they going to grade the report in order for them to save their N20? You cannot run away because those are industry, those are companies, those SME involved in the agriculture one, definitely they create a lot of these nitrous oxide. So you need to come up with a report ready. When they're going to listing or anything, so they ask for the minimum 2 reports. There's one is a financial report, and the other one is this one, GAG report. Because when they talk about agriculture, they know we create all these N20. But normal company like us, we create a lot of carbon dioxide, CO2, in the scope 1 or maybe scope 2 or scope 3 only. HFC, hydrofluorocarbons. So very simple only. You just HFC, you just think about your house, think about the factory, think about the company, So they say HFC are potent greenhouse gases with high global warming potential. Because of your gases, your refrigerator, your aircon. After you switch on the aircon, they burn and then the gas, they defrost and then came out, they become HFC. So these gases also is potent. No good lah. So they say, though they are less abundant than CO2, they can dismiss easily. But this one, very difficult to start. So this one, they say, keeping your home comfortable but warming the planet. You're happy, but the planet not happy. So this is a gas of 4. So number 5 is a this is a so-called chlorofluorocarbon stuff. But this one is practiced in the factory, our semiconductor. We use for etching those wafer for cleaning. But this one, if you smell too much, it will cause you a lot of problems to your lung and liver, all these diseases. So this is in short form we call BFC. BFC, the practice, another word to say what our in Chinese say something 微灸. So this one is very much harm to health. So they say, oh, you cannot practice because you see, they are used to liquid breathing research as a blood substitute, and the eye surgery is due to their excellent oxygen carrying capacity. So these gases is very bad. They are harm for the human health. And then this is sulfur hexafluoride. Sulfur hexafluoride usually, that's why they say why residential you cannot stay near to the power stations, because those are utility, they can create a lot of unnecessary SF6. This one you have to stay away. How many kilometers? It's not like few kilometers only. How many? Because of this sulfur is fine, you can travel everywhere. You see. because of once they generate the power, it will generate the gas out. So once the gas out, it will be affected. This is the first one. This one is somewhere in the scope. Somewhere in the scope. Because they say gas uses in the electric transmission equipment and such as circuit breaker and switch gear. So wherever you touch for those power supply, those things is toxic one. All gases, you breathe too much. This one is faster than HFC. Like your area as well. So your area, you have to practice this. Sulfur example, right? How are you going to prevent? You need to come up with report. This is another level already. So if you want to practice this GHG, probably in the scope 1. Stop already. Very easy. Whereas come to them, a bit difficult. Because how are you going to enclose to make sure this HFC cannot travel or what, minimize the thing, you see. So we need to think about that. You see, it's worsened than the carbon dioxide 20,000 times. Can you imagine that? 20,000 times. So it's very bad now. So this is a nitrogen. It's so-called trifluoride, NF. So this one is, look at the picture. Where are you? Those electronic industry, that's why we use a lot of carbon filter. Before the smoke will release out. So we practice a lot of carbon filter, especially those microcircuit crystal flag. I forgot what's the name already. They say once you breathed, the nanometer is around 2.5 mm. They can travel. Once you breathe in, there's a lot of people who cannot test. So this is the thing that came up. And then what kind of factory? They produce a lot of these NF. Majority is electronic industry. That's why you better stay far away. Stay far away from electronic industry. Because they produce those molecules, it's very, very dangerous. It's too small already, you cannot say. Even though carbon filter, you're talking about 2.5 nanometer, that carbon filter is costing very, very expensive. Because they cannot stop. So only you can see those that produce smoke. Daytime maybe they practice the carbon filter, but what happened to nighttime? Nighttime they take away already, you release. So this NF is one of the dangerous gas also. So when they're talking about Paris Agreement, I keep it simple, at least you all aware about it. How is Paris Agreement? Paris Agreement, Malaysia also one of the member also. So they also stress on these 6 gases. So you can see the carbon dioxide at scope 1 doesn't factor in. So the rest ban. We have carbon dioxide, one of them, CS4, N20, PFC, FSC, SF6. So they thought this 6 GHG actually is made by the human activities. So these 7 gases actually created by the Paris Agreement. So this agreement, actually we go for Paris meeting and then come out with this agreement. So right now we practice. Malaysia is pushing on this. So they say Paris Agreement on climate change. So those are 7 gases that we talk about is very much on the global warming potential. So they say, effort to mitigate climate change, that's because of energy efficiency, renewable energy, and regulatory measure. So all these are practice in order for you to reduce the global warming potential. That's why they say you need a net zero minimum standard. Our practice is for these carbon emissions. Our numbers is 0.4. Alright, this is the international standard, is 0.4. However, our meeting already came out, the number is 0.475. See, that's a different. Even though Sarawak also different. Also different feature. So, over in the peninsula, we can do practice right now is 0.475. So this is very much on the global warming. At least you understand what is the GHG. GHG that we're talking about is 7 types of gases. At least you guys are aware about it. Global warming potential. So carbon dioxide, how are you going to get it? How are you going to collect the data? So come to this module, we stress on carbon dioxide. You start need to collecting the data. That's why I say when people ask, your stakeholder ask you, what is the number of the carbon emission? So people, oh, carbon emission. So this is the thing that we're talking about. You're going to collect the data. Where actually are you going to collect the data? From the company. So right now, our USM side, we developed the algorithm for the calculation for these carbon emissions. But the company or the factory, they need to collect those data to key in the algorithm to generate the numbers. So I'm going to show you that where actually the amount of carbon dioxide you can collect from. It's not that difficult because this one is under scope 1 only. So you look at the energy use, heating, transportation, some cement production, the chemical, agriculture, rice paddy, fertilizer use, waste, landfill. All these they have a figure, roughly, So we can provide you a figure to measure out what's the numbers. So once you plug in the numbers, you collect. Later I show you the calculation, you all fun. See all the stuff. That's why I try to summary to make you guys to understand a simple way. At least from electric, from transportation, you can start from there. So industry, that one is related to those are manufacturing. Okay, then agriculture is related to only for those are involved in livestock, especially in mainland, Qi, Qr, Qi2, there's a lot. So this one referring to methane, remember the CH4. And then of course those are involved in the natural resources, landfill, wastewater treatment, all those companies, they need to provide those data. So this is the thing that we're talking about, the source of emissions. So the ultimate, those like trading company, those like Point, you are in electric and transportation. All those are utilities, your employees, drive transportation, you collect data, from the gas, all these. So it's not that. So this is the how you actually collect data in general. We didn't talk about until the factory, because factory that one be complicated. So they say this may include fuel consumptions, amount of fuel, example, liter of gasoline, roughly, and then the cubic meter of natural gas, this one no. Electric use, kilowatt per hours, how much you consume for electricity, and then distance of travel, roughly every single employee you collect the data, then how far from here to the car. So you roughly calculate that gasoline use. So material usage, quantity, material used in the industrial process. It doesn't have that only. So basically, I would say maybe 1 or 2 or 3 from the data. So what is the factor? Use of emission factors. So this one you talk about a little bit algorithm. So they say 2.31, maybe 2.5 kilo, you can get about carbon emissions equivalent to per liter burn. Natural gas, no, hours. Electricity and various of region, 0.5 kilo, no. 0.5 kilo equal to carbon dioxide per kilowatt in some areas. So actually very small. People talk about plant already, you need 0.5 kilo. So you're talking about the plant, the tree planting, actually you see nothing. So you can see we involved in the scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. So these are the gases in practice. So they say, product material waste, at least you need to understand about the those are agriculture practice, own factory, with the vehicle emissions. This one under scope 1, CO2 in between of CH4, and then purchase grid electricity and natural gas. And then come to the scope 3, means that you involve in the third party already. Now your supply chain. So scope 3 third party, you're using a shipping, distribution, product waste, so they can calculate how far you go, and then your waste also, your fuel you're using. So this is before that one, module 3 is 7 type of gases, and then talking about the source of your carbon emissions, and then come to the final module, they say corporate accounting and reporting standard. So far, you guys are still there. I mean, at least you understand what I'm talking about. When you're talking about protocol, GHG protocol, at least they have a standard clauses, what to follow, what's the number to follow, at least making standard, you see. So come to module 4, it's talking about the corporate accounting and reporting standard. So as I mentioned to you guys, whereas come to the GHG, they have scope 1 and scope 2 and scope 3. So where are we? So we are, at least scope 1. Direct emissions occurring from sources owned or controlled by organization. Now, within the control by one point, that which is how many of you guys are carpool, in order to save your gases, in order to save all those, the same thing. Example, our fuel vehicle use and refrigerant losses. So like in our factory, we practice a lot of carpool. At least we can calculate, example, with 1,000 people, we save how many car average per employee they have. At least one vehicle come to the factory. But once we carpool, how many, we save the vehicle, how many, how much of this fuel that we are really reduce, try to reduce. So scope 2, indirect emissions associated with the purchased electricity, steam and heat and coal. So again, this one, they're going to tell you that energy conservations. So this one come to my topic, my research topic. So my research topic going to ask you, to practice the electricity, how you switch off, then how to preserve the energy, and then do you have any special device, to save the energy with a legitimate, device that approved by the authority. You need to install the solar, and then come with the employer having to switch off the electricity, aircon, all this. So all this is a practice for your scope 2. Then come to the scope 3, indirect emissions associated with activity occurring across a company value chain. So this one, again, you fall back to your third party, your supply chain management. Right. So because of you got so many industries, so what kind of report and what kind of tool that you need to let them to practice. So this one is measured by different industry. They come from the different practice. If you come from different practice, we have this guide to guide you how again to practice into project accounting protocol. So they stress on they quantify the GHG reduction for specific projects such as renewable energy or renewable efficiency initiative. So that one is subject to those companies that you form. If you go for project based one, you can use this accounting tool practice on. I can show you a little bit of this tool. So there's a guideline to understand the entire about the GNG based on the project base. So your protocol for project accounting, okay, roughly go through what is updating concept, policy as well. Defining GNG assessment boundary, requirement guidance, all these. They have all the protocol. You don't need to worry. You just follow the guideline how to practice the entire reporting concept background. You can work on it. To tell you all this story overview, how you need to convert into it. Chapter ownership. Where to study, source, project concept, reduction, baseline. Electric vehicle fueling station. This one is more on a project base. Those companies they involve a lot of project base, like Jerry also some you call it project base also. So if those are company requested this so-called project-based project accounting concept, you need to produce this kind of reporting. GNG emissions, cap resources, uncapped total, how many times. So actually a lot of references. So the project accounting protocol, they're going to guide you simple concept, which is we at least understand about the budgeting cost, about cost of tracking, revenue recognitions. So this is a simple example, which is you're collecting this data and then come up with a simple accounting into your report. But at least you know how are you going to manage your project. And resource management, reporting, compliance, audit. So those are project-based company. They need to produce this kind of accounting. So they also told you that what's the objective: financial control, transparency, accountability, and then they give a very good example. You budget 1 million material, you have other labor permits. And then monthly report, 300K spend, 35% complete, and deduct here and there. So what actually going to tell you the entire project that you've done, you need to be transparent. So this one is piece of cake, but it's just material. Some write out article, you all have to produce also, So we have all the guidelines, but at least the accounting system you need to attach to your report, your ESG report, the company ESG reports. And then they have a second method. Some of the company they have a product life cycle because of their material to reuse. That's why Elon Musk and rocket, they can reuse, recyclable. So this is the standard accounting they need to practice this. Help the company assess GHG emission associated with the entire life cycle of the product, from raw material to disposal. They give you a simple example: life cycle accounting reporting from raw material extraction to design. Key stage focus, production, distribution, use phase, end-of-end life disposal. So you can see from the ESG, GAG protocol standard with the accounting report, actually in terms of the accounting is additional for you guys. Because for the accounting and tax, we thought there's a standard profit and loss, we badger, all this and that. But indeed, they have a special made for those company. If your company product can be like it, life cycle or recycle, you need to come up with another set of accounting and reporting standard. That is something is new. So later on, I'll give you some example of one of the MNC, so-called Horiba. So Horiba also practice it. They practice this product life cycle accounting. So it's nothing is standard, because for this ESG, they have their own standard in the product life cycle. How are you going to impact your material? So profitability, analysis, sustainability, transparency across. Take an example. A car manufacturer might report productions 20,000 per vehicle, 5 tons of carbon emissions, emitted fuel cost emission over 10 years, put your plant something outside. One thing you need to learn for the extra one is the carbon emissions. Those already reductions means that already save for their carbon emissions. That one they can sell. You understand? You can sell to the one of the data bank, and then after that, those people overuse one already above the net zero, they can buy back. Then earn from your carbon emissions from that money. So this is something they add on. You can buy and sell with the carbon emissions. So their product life cycle means that your material can be used. At the same time, if you achieve your carbon emissions below the net zero, the extra one you can put on it into your accounting. So this one is more on the corporate value chains. I believe this one is more on trading company. Because those are trading company, they involve with the third party. So they need to calculate. The trading company, maybe you have your own office, it doesn't have a vehicle, it doesn't have those transportation that you need to supply your products to the end-to-end customers. So this one they incorporate with those third-party companies. So they need to calculate and collect those data from the third-party company. That's why we call a supply chain. So this one is a value chain through the company that we work together. So they need to calculate begin from the GHG protocol scope emission across the value chain. So start from where? Say they show you a trolley and then start work on it until so that's why in the scope one is so-called upstream activities, and then in between, you need to go through those reporting company and then evaluate downstream activities. That's a subject to your company. What kind of pattern, what kind of accounting standard you like to use. So we're going to cater to the company. So they say corporate value chain is called 3 standards. This is your supply chain. You need to calculate the other party. That's why the Miriaki one, why their customers, their customer client come to audit Miriaki. Because of they practice this corporate value chain. Because their own company doesn't practice, they give to the supplier. So you need to audit the supplier. Correct? So they need to practice this standard reporting. Okay. So the reason I show you guys they have a set of accounting is very much relevant to you guys because of the company only tally the reporting, different reporting, different accounting standard. You cater to them, but of course they need to refer. Like you guys are consultant, you need to understand the company structure, which accounting and reporting are more suitable to them, for them. Once you found the suitability is there, then you use this kind of template to cater for that. Actually, for you guys, it's not very difficult because of the format is there, the platform is there. You only in and out slightly different. So they give an example. Upstream is what 50,000 ton carbon side from a cotton production, purchase good. And then they give the downstream consumer washing, drying, and then total they will produce how many, in order for you to sustain the cotton. Right? So this come from the final protocol. This one is for cities. You work for the entire system, and then this one is more on CSR. Help the cities, a global standard for city to measure and report their GHG emissions, helping them develop climate action plan. Right? You want to do CSR, right? You just follow, how much actually you can contribute to this city. For example, in Penang, a small city. So you're involved. What is the scope 1 and scope 2 and scope 3? This one different already, you see. In between scope 2, it becomes energy. Between, and then of course, eventually you can see the scope 3 and see the aeroplane, and then how are you going to settle your waste, just like our normal city council do. So they mentioned about the key component, right? What are the scope 1? This protocol is very, standard to all of us, which is how much that you can collect the carbon emissions, and then how much you can calculate and generate the carbon emissions numbers. Either you're in the reductions or you're in the net zero. So at least they have some baseline to you to understand that what is the, in between they have purchase of electricity, heat, steam consumed. So all this is a very basic thing, which is you be collected those informations like fuel, your water, and then of course those transportation, and then of course your rubbish and waste disposal. How are you going to settle on it? Very simple. So like you see, stationary, what did you give? Emissions of the residential, commercial, industrial, and natural gas, electricity. So you just need a TNB bill, to collect the data, to compare it. For the past 12 months, you need to key in the algorithm system in order for them to generate the number for you guys. Right? Transportation, waste, industry, and agriculture, and other scope 3. So all this is a very basic thing that which is you need to collect those information to insert into your accounting and reporting. So GHG protocol for city is referring to those in general, those trading company can be done also. Those like you guys are working on accounting company also. See, you can see the reporting level is very basic. Very basic. Okay, so at the end, when we talk about the benefit of using the GHG protocol, they say, oh, this is standard. When you mention about this, because usually when they talk about the ESG is a platform, and then they streamline together with this GHG. They say, what is the standard you practice? So you tell them, we are using GHG protocol. So GHG protocol is an international standard. So you need to understand why you need this. And then you mention about you practice. We have project-based, we have city-based, we have life cycle-based. At least you know how to segregate. Then you have the scope 1 and scope 2 and scope 3. So at least you can produce the accounting format to those people that now we practice this product life cycle format. Because we cannot be the same for every single company from the ESG point of view. Because they say, oh, we have a GAG protocol, we have our own format accounting reporting for every single company, but just a little bit here and there, a bit different. But the most important thing is say transparency, risk management, what's the efficiency, and then it create a lot of this stakeholder confidence. At least your clients are confident that you're doing something which is really contribute to this GAG compliance. So at least you guys understand about what is a GAG protocol. So next I show you an example. This is a real life example. It is a Horiba company, one of the Japan company, think tank company. So they show it to the report. They're using this accounting is so-called product life cycle accounting and reporting standard. So when they mention about this, everyone aware about this is come from GAG standard, GAG protocol standard. So they tell you energy innovation, Horiba, maximize their total efficiency, utilize sustainable clean energy, realize carbon capture and circulation. So they have all the calculation they collected the data. So at least they practice the accounting is product life cycle. So they practice environmental impact assessment. This one is straightforward. Tell to their client, tell to their stakeholder that we already touched into environmental impact. So it's very smart, They tell you I practice the GAG protocol, but your assessment you refer to LCA, life cycle accounting. Okay. Through a wide range of engineering new proposals, Horiba contribute to the reduction of environmental impact, including reduction of greenhouse gas GAG already. Emission throughout the product life cycle and customer supply chain also. They said, yet I practice LCA at the same time. I also requested my customer to practice on it also. So to achieve a carbon neutral society, it's important assessment the environmental impact of product as a whole and corporate activity as a whole, not only during product use but also through the life cycle LCA and GAG protocol. Assessing this assessment, disclosing information to stakeholders, and clarifying specific GAG productions, priority and target to improve the efficiency of product development process will lead and overall reduction in the environmental impact. Honestly speaking, this company is really a polluted company because of they are the electronic industry. But we are stressed, keep on stressing. We are very concerned in the environment. Now we're using this practice for LCA, GAG protocol. So people look at it, you already practice, otherwise how are you going to publish your set of accounting? So they keep on stressing about the environmental impact. That's why I said ESG, you need to think about the impact. How big is the impact? How many persons benefited? And then where actually they targeted. So this company target environmental, straightforward and tell you I'm using LCA. But we know that this company is most polluted company. They're the electronic. They produce all those smoke, very dangerous. But they tell you practice LCA, and then of course we also capture to our customer also have to follow. So in the report, they come out this thing, the company, they're very good, they're using a material, how are they doing recycle, get the component, the battery, fuel cell, and then of course they talk about the future. So this one, they already convince you. I mean, for me, yes or no, at least he can draw something relevant to the company. And then at the same time, they say, I'm practice the LCA is a GAG protocol already, international standard already. So can you tell me, those like normal company, they cannot produce such a, this is simple one. But you see, you look at picture, they make a statement. My accounting and reporting is under GAG protocol, so you have my report, you comply everything. Right? So a lot of people they say, ESG again, it's not easy. But at least you know the concept already. Why GAG is so important. means that because reducing environmental impact. They're telling you that do this and then recycle it, and then how you do waste, manage the waste management. You see, they say the car they can reuse, can be refurbished, maintenance of refurbish, powertrain evaluation, how all this and that. And then they talk about future, and then what is the component they can recycle, the battery, all this. I believe you also can say what my paper, my chair, my this and that I give to those second item I can give to what the old home, to recycle, I donate this and that. As long as you need to come out the whole structure and see you can recycle the thing to make it sustainable. You have a tactic now, huh? So I need the tactic that you know how to draw, how to come up with the idea, which is you know how to manage the waste, rather than you just throw it away. So you see, LCA and GAG protocol, what's the difference? You say I follow. It's a method assessing environmental impact. So they don't stress on the environmental. Throughout life cycle, they have extraction raw material. See, start touching their raw material. They're afraid. That's why they tell you my raw material is the estimate, and then the production, distribution, and consumption, disposal, recycling, and then I can calculate my recycling from where? From my accounting and reporting. I believe they create one small column only. One small column only. Evaluating environmental impact product services throughout their life cycle, raw material production, distribution, consumption, LCA, especially international standard. They are such a big company, they only got one ISO 14404. But they can produce this document to tell you that I comply. This is environmental impact. So they say example, an overview of LCA automobile. Conventional, the focus was only the carbon dioxide emission during driving. This is the product I've been created. Actually, it's a car, example. Nowadays, however, required by LCA, is it the manufacturer responsibility to reduce environmental impact in all these places? The product life cycle from fuel, meaning the material procurement, to manufacturing, use, disposal, and recycling. So they're talking about the entire factory, the entire production, the entire program. This can be recyclable. So they create a minimum carbon dioxide. Because of 7 gases, it's most likely one is the carbon dioxide. So they tell you I create a minimum gases. Minimum harm gases. Then they tell you they grade this thing. 7 gases, they tell you all the numbers into their report. Targeted the greenhouse gases. So you see, you produce into scope 1 and scope 2 and scope 3. Then at the same time, you can see the entire corporate activities. It create a minimum gases and tell you what is the gases that they produce. So they can calculate. They also give you the formula that which is non-energy of CO2 and then CO4, CH4 and 20, all this. So they can come up figure. Then they can tell you what actually the company will produce those gases. So they say this is a solution. At least they create a lot of problems right in front. They say there's a problem here and there. And then they come up with the life cycle of accounting. And then they tell you that the company can do what. And then eventually they tell you what is the solution for energy and innovation. This one fall into SDG 17. One of the chapters is innovation. They come up with innovation which is they give you a solution. I know how to solve it. To sustain the company. So analyze the material and physical, properties. And you need to assess the material, what kind of property for them to come in, and then monitoring the industrial process. then at the same time evaluation of performance, and then optimizing the system. So when you talk to people, it's the same thing. You create a lot of problems, you tell people there's a problem, but eventually the consultant need to provide a solution. Am I correct? So it's the same thing when you provide those problems and then tell the customer where, which, when, and what, and how. Then eventually you are the one who need to provide a solution. Tell them back 5W1H how I need to encounter this problem. So your reporting need to come out an idea that which is at least you see the problem, you can solve the problem, and then eventually you give a solution. And then the best one, you need to tell them, I got a sustainability solution. So, besides this, I got what assist me. You cannot depend by yourself. You get to do that, which is you depend on your own people, depend on your own resources, still not sufficient. You need to collaborate or partnership. With the university, with the third party, with the any specialism. In order for you to sustain as kind of company. So they tell you GAG gas measurement solution for equipment and facilities. They give you an example to assess the improved GAG emission and product, LCA and GAG scoping. It's important to measure the actual GAG emissions and what extent the process. So they say they offer measurement solutions. They generate and measure at the same time. They tell you a portable facility laboratory. So this is the three things with their metrology to measure their GAG emissions. So they say typical monitoring location for GAG, sewerage treatment facility. So they tell you where the company, all the waste, where it should come from. This is the part. Alright, so basically we have done for the this GAG protocol standards. So we just do a little bit recap and then what have you learned. Alright, so we come here. So you guys still can remember and then capture with this picture. We segregate into 3 pillars. So what is the ESG? Correct? So this SDG 17, we can segregate into 3 pillars. There are 17 icons, but we can segregate. At least 3 pillars that are telling you the environments, content of what. Maybe you guys can remember a little bit about the carbon emissions. Right? So CK, what do you know about the social side?
Basically go to the person.
Yeah, so it means that whatever you involve in this EAG, you cannot run away with it. You need to involve in the human activities. Somehow or other, because just now we've been talking about the environment, a lot of this one, the standard protocol. But again, it's a made on human activities, you need to contribute also. Then about the governance. So governance, I believe you guys, is a strength. And then we need to stress about these 2 things. Remember, transparency, and accountability. So this is your strength. So at least when we portray a company image, we definitely have a strength and weakness. And then what? SWOT. And then of course opportunity and threat. Nothing is perfect one, but at least where's the problem? And then we can produce a solution. At the same time, we can produce another one is sustainability in order for you to maintain standard. So our awards, you guys still can remember about the Pioneer Awards, Jerry? Pioneer Awards is what?
Just environmental, ESG.
Yeah, that's a readiness, right? So at least go for the reporting awards and they tell you it's future proof. at least you can prove to your stakeholder or client that you are ready. And then followed by the regulations, avoiding fines. Lina can remember avoiding fines. About the recognition awards means that at least whatever the report you're doing thing is ready, you won't get any compound from any legal side or technical side. And if you prove that all the documents that you're ready. So of course they're talking about the benefit of the awards. You can get these ethical governance, at least your practice, everyone can see you are good with governance, entrance of the competitive advantage, leadership, remember, and then attracting investor. There's a potential of the investor. So when people ask, I get this ESG recognitions, get this ESG award for usage, at least you know how to answer. So when you expand your company profile, your company business, so at least you can use this reporting, use this platform to prove to your stakeholder rather than your ISO. So this one is compiled together, so at least you can see the overview for the module 1 and 2. Carbon emission, waste management from the environmental point of view, and then social, governance, and then what kind of type of awards. And then what is the benefits. So this is the mind map. Now at least you guys know about what is the ESG, and then how it can relate to the ESG awards. Alright? So I think you guys probably have an idea that what's the overview for what is ESG and relate to this ESG award already, right? You keep it and think about the simple words behind that. So the entire thing is talking about impact. What is the impact? How many people benefited? And then another word about this ESG to add on. Why they need this reporting? Because the stakeholder or your client, they need to know towards control and manage. They know, at least they understand your company, how you control your company, how you manage your company. Then we can read from the reporting. Correct? So when they read from your reporting, at least they're referring to your leadership. At least they know your leader aware about this ESG compliance. That's the reason why you create this reporting. Alright. Then this overview of module 3. Remember about this GHG gas. So when people talk about GHG, 7 gases. These 7 gases, harmful gases. Where actually they come from? Paris agreement, you see. So it's very easy to remember. So at least your story is aligned. You understand what is ESG, what is ESG award, and how you need to work, collaborate together with the GHG protocol. So these the carbon emissions, the sources that we need to collect, electricity, water, the transportation bill, all these. And then finally, there's an overview of module 4. So this module 4 is stressed on the corporate accounting and reporting. Every single company and every industry, they are different. So if you can use this accounting and reporting to template for them to come out with the idea of like horizontal, be using what? PLC. Product life cycle, remember? So they can tell you, I follow this GHG protocol with this standard accounting and reporting. I practice it, and then at the same time, I tell you what is the solution and what is the extra one, what is the last one. So total they got how many? At least they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Indeed, total they have 8 including this scope 1 and 2 and 3. But the general one, you don't need specific this accounting and reporting. Alright. So whereas come to those company, they feel that they require this reporting, to showcase. group with, then they are different story because they are there to put this entire GHG protocol into their reporting, and then somehow they go for audit. So that's why, like you guys are accounting and taxation firm, if you can come up with this idea to your customer and then at the same time they practice, use the headline like HORIBA, environmental assessment via PLC, accounting and reporting. You see, they are so strong. Nobody there practice this GHG protocol, accounting and reporting. They just throw it, they say, I'm practicing. And then they come up with idea. You know, just want to show you the picture. How are they going to recycle? Right? So I think that's the end of my sessions. Any question and answer? Can see the star. Can see the customer. My one is a bit complicated, but this one only part of it only I tell you. Maybe half of it. But at least you guys have benefited towards the GHG already. It's not that easy because at least they have so many accounting and reporting, but it's not all for the reporting. Only template for those particular company. Like Jerry is maybe in the project base, you can use the project to, the practice put into accounting, and then they can put unpracticed GHG protocol. So when you practice this GHG protocol, when you send for audit, example, send to you guys audit, and then I don't know how to audit. Say, what is this? That's another problem. So that's why you're only referring to this big four. But what I got to know, big four just practice only. It's a practice that not really practicing because I believe in Malaysia only a few companies are practice only now. So you guys need to ready. Because if let's say Jerry is preparing all these things and then submit to you, you don't know how to compute that out. They say I'm practicing PLC, practicing these project tools. Then you don't know how to audit, you don't know how to read. But it's not that difficult. I believe they create one or two columns. The waste one, disposal one, they create in the column. And then the carbon emission, the extra one, they create in the column. And then this company very interesting. You're comparing what's the number they get from the carbon emissions. So because an outsider they consider you guys are specialists. So at least you all go through, at least you know what's ESG, at least they're talking about gases. You're referring to what industry you know what kind of gases they're being affected already. For example, this agriculture mentioned for, then you refer back to your reporting already. Your reporting should use into this agriculture. Then will be more accurate. So, any question? Okay, enough.
So for our industry, like accounting firm like this, so we are more towards for the GHG, we are more towards only CO2, right?
More CO2, scope 1 only lah. Scope 1, scope 2 like this lah. Scope 3 you can practice the protocol for city lah. That one very simple only mah. At least you nothing to contribute, but you contribute to the city. At least you know how to manage your waste, save the electricity, save the water, how to preserve.
So for the reporting wise, we just have to like what you just now mentioned, like how many kilowatts already reduced for the electricity consumption, and then further from there we have to calculate like through the saving of the electricity, how many.
You don't need to calculate this part. They already prepared the tool. You just need to collect the data. Because it can help you to generate. You just in and pop one number.
Oh, there's
the formula. So that's why our side is very simple for local city, but come to company is different. Some of the company they are recycling, some of the company is steel, some of the company agriculture. So I believe you guys might be facing those companies into this. So how are they going to showcase and present their company? So you need to advise them. It's not me to advise you, they have no idea.
Any you have to collect data for 1 month, one half a year, 1 year,
1 year, 1 year,
1 year data.
1 year data. The example, the mental form, that one is not that difficult. You roughly say, what's your livestock? How big is your livestock? Roughly you need to interview. So you can calculate out already every single thing, and then you see how much can you volume affected this environment. So they have a calculation, everything's ready, honestly speaking. I can show you a little bit that calculation. So few type total, see eating value basis, density. Biomass emissions, CO2 factor. So indeed, we have a lot of data. We have a lot of data. But naturally, yes, you forget about it.
Then transform.